comes to self-esteem, or perhaps for you your low self-esteem, it was also rooted in your upbringing, but for different reasons, is that right?
Yes. So for me, one of it was because of the divorce. So my parents got divorced and I was around 4. So your father, it's a strong figure that gives you that self-confidence, that kind of appreciation about yourself. And he wasn't there, my mom wasn't there because of her job, so I was most of the time lonely. So I couldn't understand how to act whenever I was with other kids. I even felt uncomfortable being in an environment where there were like families, and I started comparing myself and feeling less loved.
Yeah. And I can see that that's something that still does it still impact you now, or is it just the talking about it out loud is affecting you right now?
I do still get emotional. It's something that I still working through. Because as she was saying, it gets to a point that you say enough is enough. I don't want to live my life based on the past. It's not my responsibility, and it's not my fault that someone got divorced. It's not my responsibility, it's my parents' responsibility, and it's very important to get detached from it and learn to love yourself. And this is the stage where I'm in right now. It's all about understanding who I am, and if I didn't have it because my dad wasn't there, it doesn't matter. I am who I am, and I'm loved, I'm perfectly made. And you know, it's that thing that I also realized, that we get this discipline whenever we have a low self-esteem. We get the negative discipline of talking back to yourself like bad and having bad thoughts. The way you punish yourself, it's a discipline, but it's a negative one that you do daily. And you don't even know. It's like sleeping with the enemy.
We're touching on you growing up and maybe with your parents being separated, and you mentioned comparison. Another thing that you talked to me about was growing up in Panama, the kind of the cultural expectation of women and the Latino women and what we look like. Well, I'm not Latino, but you know what I mean. Like, we look like what you look like.
Well, in Latin America, there's a high expectation of how women should look, how curvy they need to be, and I think as you're growing up, and your body doesn't look that way because you're just different, and that's okay. But there's this, can I say, very unreal expectation of how women should look in any culture. And I think nowadays it's not only about one, like Latin America, that culture, it's everywhere. Because now you wake up, you look at Instagram and like the pictures of people, and we don't realize it's not real. That's not how people wake up. So we look at the pictures and we go like, oh, she's so perfect. That's like shot number 50. And we don't know it. I haven't done my hair. I wake up and that's the first thought that I get. I get outside, walking to work, and then I start comparing myself. And it's a daily thing. And I think it's all about saying, no, I'm going to do a new routine. You know, I think one of the things that I realized is saying things out loud of how I talk to myself, how I think, and realizing that is actually really bad. You know, and it leads you to other things. You open door to other stuff. And I think saying, okay, let me point out the things I love about myself. Because everyone has something, attributes. We're all different, but we're beautiful. So pointing out the things that you love about yourself and looking in the mirror and making them real by saying them to yourself, you know. Because as well, other thing that I dealt with was like being bullied at school because I was different. So it kind of gave me a personality of what everyone was telling me I was, which wasn't real. But I think a way that I can put it out is like, when you know your name, when someone calls you out, you will respond because that's who you are. And I think it's realizing who you are, so whenever you hear things, whenever you see things that trigger you, you can say, no, that's not who I am. I know who I am.
Do you feel like you've got it all together? When you were talking about, you know, stepping out to the bus stop and beginning to compare, were you talking about in the past, or are you talking about currently? Is it an ongoing? Is it a daily ongoing even
I
now
think
for you?
it's daily for every woman
Wow.
because at the same time we have something mental health, which is every month we change and we feel emotional.
Sure.
So today I can feel, I've got it all together, and the next day it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing you need to practice,
Yeah.
and be prepared for those days. I think I read that in a book about getting ready for those days. So when you know they're coming, you need to be aware.
Yeah.
They're coming, okay, I need to know. I'm still beautiful, I'm able,
That's right.
And you are still beautiful. You never weren't beautiful in our eyes, but thank you for sharing. For anybody watching this particular theme of self-esteem and they've heard something that really resonates with them, if you were to give them a word of encouragement or a practical take-home.
Begin a positive discipline. Little by little, it's not about suddenly running and just running the show. It's just one step. And I think when you write it down and have a journal and you say, actually, I'm doing progress, I'm not where I was, that's when you feel more empowered, and that's when you notice, yes, I can do this. Just little by little, step by step, every day, just adding something more, being more grateful, about what you have, of who you are and who you could be.
Thank you. Thank you, girls. Next time on the 7 series.
Becoming a wife and a mum, when they didn't really happen, I suddenly felt like a failure, and it really affected me, and it, suddenly took me to a place that I was like, oh, I didn't really know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with these emotions.